Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to study the least cost method of calculating initial feasible solution of a transportation problem. So let's start with a standard transportation problem in which we are given three supply points S1, S2 and S3. The quantity of product available at source 1 is 500 units, at source 2 it is equal to 300 units and at source 3 it is equal to 200 units. Similarly, there are four destinations D1, D2, D3 and D4 with their respective quantities demanded. And the per unit cost of transportation with every possible route is given in this table. For example, if we want to supply a unit of product from source 1 to destination 1, then the cost of transportation would be equal to 12 rupees per unit. Similarly, if we talk about this cell, if we want to supply a unit of product from source to destination 4, then the per unit cost of transportation would be 14 rupees per unit. Now, before starting the process of calculating initial feasible solution, we must understand the nature of the transportation problem, and for that we have to match the total demand and total supply. In this case, total supply is equal to 500 plus 300 plus 200, 1000 units, and similarly the total demand is also equal to 1000 units. It means total supply is equal to total demand of the product. So it is the case of a balanced transportation problem. So in this video we are going to deal with a balanced transportation problem with the help of least cost method. So let's start with this method. In step 1, what we have to do? Simply select the cell with minimum per unit cost of transportation. So we can identify easily the cell which have the minimum cost of transportation. And in this particular table, the cell S3D1 has the minimum cost, that is equal to 6 rupees per unit. So we will start this method, we will start the process with this cell. Okay. Next step, what we have to do? Match the rim conditions of demand and supply. Match the rim conditions of demand and supply. And before that, we must be clear about a special case of transportation problem. In this table, we have a single minimum cost, that is 6 rupees per unit. What if there is a tie between the minimum cost? What if there is a tie between minimum cost? Suppose the per unit cost of transportation is 6 rupees, and in this cell also the per unit cost of transportation is 6 rupees. So in this case, which cell we should select? So conceptually we can select either of them, but to get a better solution, we should select the cell in which we can assign the largest quantity. Suppose in this cell, how many units we can assign? For that, we have to match the total supply and demand for that respective cell. In this case, demand is 180 units and supply is of 200 units. So we would assign the lower value, that is equal to 180 units. The same step we should apply on this cell. The supply is 500 units and the demand is equal to 320 units. So we would assign the lower value, that is equal to 320 units. So out of these two cells, which one we would select? The one in which we can assign the largest quantity. So we would start the process with this cell, because we can assign here 320 units in comparison of 180 units. So whenever you face a situation in which there is a tie between two cells, two minimum cost which are having minimum cost, then you should follow this technique to adopt the best one. Okay, so we have matched, or we have compared the supply and demand conditions, and we have allocated 180 units in this cell. Now in next step, what we have to do? we have to eliminate the row or column satisfied by this allocation. So in this case, the column 1 that is headed by D1 is satisfied because the quantity demanded at destination was 180 units, and in this allocation we have allocated exactly 180 units to the destination 1. So the demand of the destination 1 is completely satisfied. So we will eliminate this column, or we will delete this column. Just draw a line on this column. So in the next steps, we will not going to include this column. Okay. So what would be the next step? Adjust the rim requirements. After eliminating this column, what we have to do? We have to adjust the rim requirements. That is, what is the meaning of adjusting rim requirements? We have to recalculate the supply and demand of the rows and columns by subtracting the assigned value. Suppose the supplying capacity of source 3 was initially 200 units, and out of those 200 units we have allocated 180 units to the destination 1. So basically source 3 is left with 20 units. So we have recalculated the supplying capacity of source 3, that is 20 units, because 180 units we have already assigned to destination 1. So if a column is deleted, then the row will be readjusted. Okay, and vice versa. If a row is deleted, then the column will be adjusted accordingly. So let's move on the next step. In step 5, what we have to do? We have to repeat step 1 to step 4. So again we have to start the process from step 1. So what was the step 1? Select the cell with minimum per unit cost. Remember, now we are not going to include the first column which we have deleted. Now we have to select the minimum cost out of the remaining cells, or out of the remaining rows and columns. So if we locate the minimum cost, it is 7. So again we have to follow the step 2 with match the demand and supply with respect to this cell. So total supply available for this cell is equal to 20 units, and total demand for this destination is equal to 320 units. So what we would do, we will assign the lower value, that is equal to 20 units. So 20 units are assigned to destination 4. Now again look at the demand and supply of the rows and columns and check if a row or column is satisfied with this allocation or not. Now look at the source 3. The total units available at source 3 were 200 units. Out of them 180 units are allocated to destination 1, and remaining 20 units are allocated to destination 4. It means the supply of source 3 is completely exhausted. Now source 3 cannot supply any extra unit to any of the destinations. So what we have to do, just eliminate the source 3 or third row by drawing a line. Okay, now we are left with 2 rows and 3 columns. Again adjust the rim requirements. Suppose as I have told you earlier, if a row is deleted, then the column will be adjusted. In this case we have deleted the row S3. Now we should adjust the column. The demand of destination 4 was 320 units, out of which we have allocated 20 units to it. So remaining quantity demanded will be 300 units. So after doing this, again what we have to do, we have to come to the step 5, which says that repeat step 1 to 4 for the remaining rows and columns. It means Again we have to select the cell with minimum per unit cost of transportation. So now the minimum cost of transportation is 8. So simply match the demand and supply conditions and allocate the minimum one. So the allocation in this cell would be 300 units, which was lower than 350 units. And now look for the adjust the or eliminate the row or column satisfied by this allocation. So in this case, the row S2 is satisfied. The supplying capacity of source 2 was 300 units, and out of them we have allocated 300 units to destination 3. It means the supply of S2 is completely exhausted. So we are going to delete the source 2. Again draw a line on it. And now, after eliminating this row, adjust the rim requirements. The requirement of destination 3 was 350 units, out of which we have allocated 300 units to the destination 3. So remaining quantity demanded would be 50 units. 50 units. Okay. After deleting this row, we are left with only a single row, that is first, which includes 3 columns, 10, 12 and 13. Now again we have to select the cell with minimum per unit cost of transportation. So out of these 3 cells, the minimum cost of transportation is equal to 10. So select this cell, match demand and supply requirements and allocate the minimum. So demand of destination 2 is equal to 150 units and the supplying capacity of S1 is 500 units. So we would allocate the minimum one, lower one, that is 150 units. After allocating 150 units, the demand of D2 is completely satisfied, so we can delete this column. So this column is also deleted. Now we are left with only 2 cells, 12 and 13. Again repeat the process until the requirements of all the rows and columns are satisfied. So select the minimum is 12. Match the demand and supply. So demand is of 50 units and supply is of 150 units we have allocated to D2, so remaining units were 350. So for this particular cell, the quantity demanded is 50 units and the supply is availability of supply is 350 units. So allocate the minimum lower value, that is 50. 50 units are allocated to in this cell. Now again look at the rows and column and eliminate the one of which the requirements are satisfied. So requirement of destination 3 was of 350 units. We have allocated 300 plus 50, 350 units. So the demand is completely satisfied. So we can eliminate this column too. Now there is only one cell left. For this cell, match demand and supply. So remaining units were available 300 because we have allocated 50 units to D3 and 150 units to D2. So units available at source 1 are 300 and the quantity demanded at D4 is also 300. So there is a match between demand and supply, that is equal to 300. So we would allocate 300 in this cell. Okay, now we can see that all the rim requirements are satisfied. All the rim requirements, you can cross check it by adding the sum of rows and sum of the columns. They will be exactly equal to their respective values. Like 150 plus 50 plus 300 is equal to 500. First rim condition is satisfied. Again 300 is equal to 300. Second rim condition is satisfied. 180 plus 220, 200. This rim condition is satisfied. Now column wise you can cross check it. 180 allocated, 180 demanded, 150 allocated, 150 demanded, 350 demanded, 350 allocated. Similarly, in the fourth column, 320 was the requirement at destination 4, and we have exactly allocated 320 units. So it is the simplest way to cross check your solution. Now, after satisfying all the rim requirements, what we have to do? Calculate the total cost. Calculate the total cost, and the formula of calculating total cost is equal to summation of Cij into Xij. What's the meaning of Cij and Xij? Cij denotes the cost per unit of transportation of a particular cell, and what is the meaning of Xij? It denotes the quantity demanded through a particular route. So to calculate total cost, we must identify the occupied cells. Occupied cells means in which we have allocated some units. We have allocated more than 0 units. So let's start with the first column. In this cell we have allocated 180 units. So for this particular cell, the Xij value is 180, and for this particular cell the Cij value is 6. So 6 into 180, because we want to calculate the total cost, and it will be calculated by summing up all the cells. 6 into 180 plus, come to the next cell, 10 was the per unit cost and 150 units are allocated. So 10 into 150 plus, come to the next cell, 50 units are allocated in this cell and the cost per unit was 12. So 12 into 50 plus 300 into 8 plus 7 into 20 plus 13 into 300. 13 into 300. So total cost would be equal to 1080 plus 1500 plus 600 plus 2400 plus 140 plus 3900. So the total amount would be equal to 9620. So the solution would be equal to 9620. So with the help of least cost method, we have obtained the initial feasible solution of this transportation problem. So to calculate this initial feasible solution, we have to follow these steps. These are 5 or 6 simple steps that should be followed while calculating the initial feasible solution of a transportation problem. Now we come on the merits and demerits of least cost method. So if you remember, the drawback or demerit of the northwest corner rule method was that it does not consider per unit cost of transportation. Is northwest corner rule method just consider the rim requirements. So it was the major drawback of the northwest corner rule method. So least cost method is an advancement of the northwest corner rule method, because this method considers per unit cost of transportation. So it is the plus point of the least cost method over northwest corner rule method. And in addition to this, there is also a drawback of this method. And what is that? In least cost method, we just include the absolute cost of transportation. Absolute cost of transportation means we just consider per unit cost of transportation given in a particular cell. And what we don't do in this method is that we do not consider opportunity cost, or we do not consider the penalties of not opting the best route, because we are not sure that in least cost method we are going to select the best available route every time. So we don't have any provision of not selecting the best route in this method. So it is going to be the major limitation of this method, and this limitation of the limitation of this method would be overcome in the next method, that is Vogel's approximation method, that considers the opportunity cost given in the transportation problem, and we will discuss the Vogel approximation method in next video. So thank you.